Hello, viewers. This is Michael from Screen Reviews, bringing you a new podcast from my 7 Code Project Review. I like orange. I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly in case you don't understand me. Also, I'll try to do my best not to wait too hard during the podcast as well, not to cause any RE feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this our podcast recording will change your adult language. So again, if you're under 18, this our podcast recording will change your adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, then you should go to watch this RE podcast recording. So anyway, with this everything else out the way, let's get into the latest episode of Omegahorn. So basically, after Gurko, Inca, and Shout, basically defeated the thugs that worked for the Evan Alliance and freed the town from those thugs. Tyranny, the town people were happy that, that shout Gurko and Inca, came and freed their town from those thugs and the Evan Alliance tyranny, and basically, some kid, the young man who stood against the thugs named Kenta, he said that, I want to become a Omegahorn, I want to become a hunter just like you. So basically, shout for him. Actually, I'm a treasure hunter, but ever since I met Inca, basically, I figured that, a hunter, I became a hunter as well. I'm a hunter because of Inca, and basically being a hunter is helping me will help me find the secret this ancient treasure I've been looking for. I don't know what it is, but one day, once I found out what it is, whatever this ancient treasure I'm looking for about the past, it'll probably, being a hunter will help me, get to that goal. So anyway, Kenta was happy that, Shout gave worth of encouragement and whatnot, to go see your dreams and whatnot. And basically, Gurko was Gurko, Inca, and Shout went to the restaurant in town, at the town, and basically Gurko explained that, those two thugs are from the Evan Alliance, and basically the Evan Alliance won't take this lion down. And basically, basically Inca and Shout has no idea who the Evan Alliance is. So basically, Gurko is like, there's this powerful organization called the Evan Alliance, and basically Evan is this powerful hunter who started his own network called the Evan Alliance. Basically, he has a lot of hunters, and a lot of territories that he has under his control, looking for eagle ears, looking for eagle ears and Omegahorn beasts to add to his army and whatnot. So anyway, these guys, those thugs that we beat up, and basically they're gonna tell Evan about this, and basically they're gonna come after us hard, and basically Shout and Inca was whatever. So basically let them come after us. So basically Inca is saying that it's not. So basically, Inca, during and after the meal, Inca said that, it's this Evan Alliance, it's that deep, it's this it's master as you say it is, meaning to find the rest of the 5 sacred beasts. So basically, Gurko and Shout was what 5 sacred beasts? So basically, Inca explained that, during the battle between him and Zenka, each of us had 2 sides. Each of us had 5 sacred beasts. So basically, there are 5 sacred beasts. So basically, the pitbull Omegahorn beast that the Prince gave Shout and Inca is one of them, and and Gurko's shock Megahorn beast is another sacred beast. So basically there are so basically there are 3 more sacred beasts out there that Inca say that we need to find, and basically and use their power to help them against the Ever Alliance if they ever come after them. So and also Inca explained that he wanted to his dream after becoming the king of the Megahorn Beast is to make sure that he was and Megahorn Beast live together in peace and whatnot, and work together in peace and whatnot. So basically, he wants to continue that dream. But after the battle, him and the beast that helped him, him, Zinka, and the beast the beasts that fought in that battle were sent away in those eagle gears, and basically he does not remember anything after being sent away during that battle. So basically, Shao has a piece of the tablet. If we can find a piece of this tablet that will explain this spring what happened after you guys got sent away, and the weekend how you guys got sent away and whatnot. And so basically, we know that Evan has a piece of that has another piece of that tablet that Shao has. So anyway, the thugs that Shao and Goku and Inca beat up tell Evan about the town, how they lost the town to Shao and whatnot. And basically, and tell them about Inca, and basically Inca was I do remember Inca, but my memory is kind of a little fuzzy. But so basically, everyone was so there's another, there's another special beast like you, Inca, out there, the Inca. So basically, Brazilian me to. Yeah. So basically, Berserkers say we need to gather our forces, and deal with them now. Deal with Shao and Inca now, and basically, take down Shao and basically get Inca on their side now. But everyone's yeah, that's a good idea, Berserkers. But I want to gather more information about the two before we do that, because if we go in blind, we might get. Let's get the full story about this Shao and Inca before we do anything in that way. Let's get a full profile on these two before we do anything. And Bizarre was okay. So anyway, basically, Gideon was what would we do with these two losers? Basically, Zenka was let's just banish them from the lines. So basically, okay, then, that's reasonable. But I'm the type of guy to give people a second chance to prove themselves. So basically, Raisin, fight against these two. If they win against you, they get to stay in the line. So basically, Raisin was I don't think so. So basically, Evan say, well, you better fight against these two. If they lose, if you refuse to fight, you get kicked out. If they win against you, you get kicked out. So basically, so basically, you have no choice. But had no choice to fight against these two. So basically, Raging is just okay, then I'll fight against these two, etc., 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 etc. So anyway. So basically, it was a standard Megahorn battle. So basically, they used the power of the Megahorn Beast to increase their power and gain the power of the Megahorn Beast. So basically, So basically, Raiden had this Megahorn Beast that has electric powers that Evan gave him. And basically, the two bugs tried to fight against Raiden, but Raiden did his dodge their attack and used the power of the electric beast, and they basically defeated them. Beat the two bugs that lost against Shout and Gurko and Inka basically under 2 minutes. So basically, Gin basically told the guys, you guys are kicked out of the line forever, and basically just shot the two into a cannon from the headquarters. Like the Team Rocket and whatnot into the air and whatnot. So anyway, so basically, Gim was like, where the hell are you going? So basically, I won the battle. So basically, I'm still in the line. So basically, I'm gonna do. So basically, I'm gonna spend some time by myself, doing whatever I feel like it. So basically, there's nothing else here to need to do. So anyway, so later, Evan, it's basically well, he is right. Evan's he did win the battle. So basically, I had nothing else for him to do right now. So basically, that's it. He could spend whatever time he could spend his downtime, whatever, on himself or whatever he likes. So anyway, after So basically, after then we cut back to the village where Gurko, Shout, and Inka just finished the meal, and turns out one of the thugs came back to the village and wanted to challenge Shout to for to a battle to get revenge on Shout for him and his partner getting kicked out of the Ever Alliance. So basically, Ken, who is basically decides to fight against that bug, and basically, so while that fight was happening, we cut to the twins, and the twins was so basically we see Al, one of the twins, who gave Shout that second beast bulldog, was looking at this Megahorn, Wikipedia book, and basically his sister was when you look at, what's going on with you? And basically, there was this talk, and basically, Al said that Inka, I've been looking at this Wikipedia book on all the Megahorn beasts, and Inka is not in here. So basically, what if Inka is a rare type of a super rare Megahorn beast that has not been found yet and not present in this Wikipedia? So basically, whether there are more beasts like Inka out there. So basically, Al wants to find more beasts like Inka and basically add them to the Wikipedia, add them to the Megahorn Beast Wikipedia or whatnot. So basically, so Aaron, his sister Aaron, was whoa, that's a good dream team. But to make that dream cool, we need to work on our Megahorn battles and whatnot. And basically, Aaron took out her Megahorn kid and basically, and went to find more people to have more Megahorn battles for them to find more to gain more experience and whatnot. So anyway, after the twins, after we cut away from the twins, we see that Ken won the battle and beat the bug that got kicked out of Evan's alliance, and basically Shout and everybody was happy for them. And basically, Shout was you did a good job against that bug and whatnot. So basically the town your talents in safe hands with you. So basically, me and Gurko and Inka who are going to leave, and basically I never wanted to So basically, Ken was this town is part of your territory. So basically, it's like that I don't want this town to be a part of my territory, besides this is your town, not my town. So basically, Ken was happy that, happy that, would shout, believing him that he can take care of the town by himself. If the Everlines ever come to his town, if the Everlines forces do come back for your town, I will come and help you. And basically, Ken was like, thank you for that. So anyway, when they left town, Gurko said that, we have not finished our Megahorn battle, so basically, let's go. So basically, Gurko. So basically, Inca explains if Gurkha wins this battle, my contract to you, Shout, will be canceled, and basically, I will restore my powers to Gurkha if she wins this Megahorn battle. So basically, and basically, Impa, accepted the terms of the Megahorn battle, and basically, they had a giant Megahorn battle. Inca transformed into a giant beast form, and basically Gurkha summoned her shock Megahorn beast, and basically turns out that Gurkha lured them to the lake because Inca is weak against water and whatnot, and basically Shout just realized that oh damn, you set me up, you lured to this lake on purpose. That way, you will have the advantage against Inca. So basically, Gurkha is like, shit, hey, oh, you just figured that out. You should have figured that out before the battle began. So anyway. So basically, Shout and Inca turned this disadvantage into advantage, and basically, Inca went into the lake and basically made the water so hot that Gurkha's beast had no choice but to get out of the water, and basically they used that opportunity to finish off Gurkha's beast and basically won the battle. So basically Gurkha lost the battle. Basically, as any Megahorn battle goes, the person has to give up their ego gear. So basically, Gurkha had no choice but to give her ego gear to Shout and Inca. But Inca and Shout say, no, you keep your ego gear, but you could help us in the future find the rest of the other sacred beasts and whatnot. So basically, he said, I do know what a sacred beast is, but it's with my master who taught me the art of Megahorn battles and whatnot. So basically, I have not seen him in a while. I don't know where he is, but he might have that sacred beast that helps you so basically, they gave him the name. It's called Kaika. It's called Master Kaika. That's the name of Gurkha's master, who taught her the art of Megahorn battles. That has the sacred beast. Might have the first sacred beast that you're looking for. And basically, I don't know where he is right now. I don't know where he is right now. But if you guys keep on, so basically sooner or later you guys might end up fighting him. But anyway, Gurkha said, but if I do fight him, I'll let you guys know. So basically, the next time we battle, I will win. So basically, turns out that Raisin was there witnessing the whole battle, witnessed the whole battle between Gurkha and Shout and Imba, and basically Gurkha went her separate ways, and basically Imba went his. Inca and Shout and Inca went their separate ways from Gurkha, and Gurkha said that the next time we battle, I will I will wait. Also, if I do find my master, and my master, I'll let you guys know about where. I'll get you the information. If I find my master, who has that second beast you guys are looking for, I will let you guys know. And basically, she tell Goku went her way, shout, and Inca went their way to, with their separate ways. And basically, that's how the episode ended. With raising, overhearing their conversation, and he found this very interesting about the second beast, that they're looking for, and basically he's thinking about telling Evan about this, and basically this is how the episode ended on this note, with raising thinking about telling Evan about the second beast that about Shout, Coco, and about Shout, Coco, and Emma's conversation about these 5 second beasts they're looking for, and basically wondering should he tell Evan about this or not, and basically that's how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, this was a good episode. So anyway, what do you guys feel about the latest episode of Omegahorn? Good, bad, or just okay? Please leave in the comments below. Anyway, start off from Screen Views 1.